that there may be a slight change in which room is going to entertain which session. So I'm not sure if you have access to the agenda. Do you have access to the agenda? Okay. So according to the agenda, the first parallel session is, excuse me, Bridging Africa's Connectivity. Internet in Education in Ethiopia will be held here, which is the second item on the agenda. Thank you. So we'll wait for a bit longer and we'll get started. Good afternoon once again. Welcome back. We're going to go into our afternoon session. And in this auditorium, we're going to discuss internet in education in Ethiopia. But before I introduce my moderator, I'm going to make a kind request that you come forward. I don't want my people to be speaking to an empty desk. So please come forward. Okay. If you think this is better, clap once. No. I said once. That's like 7 times. Let's try it again. If you feel this is better, clap once. Okay, is it me or is it you? Which one is it? Okay, I'm gonna try one more time. If you think this is better, clap once. You know how you kill the mosquito when it comes, right? Okay, let's kill it here. 1, 2, 3. And on this side, he's coming from here. One more time. She's not there yet. All right, thank you so much. Just wanted to play the role of coffee before we begin. So we're going to get into internet in education in Ethiopia, and it's going to be a session that's to be moderated for us by Dr. Fekade Getahun. He's a senior strategic advisor at the Ministry of Innovation and Technology. And just a bit of background on him. He has a BSc degree in mathematics, MSc and PhD degrees in computer science from Addis Ababa University and the University of, I don't know how to pronounce this one, Burgundy. Is it Burgundy? Okay. Please correct me if that's not it. So he got his MSc and PhD degrees in computer science from a university in France, and his extensive professional background encompasses roles as an ICT project manager, ICT advisor, and digital service leader, consultant, lecturer, and researcher. And since 2022, he has served in various capacities at the Ethiopian Ministry of Innovation and Technology, where he serves as an advisor, including strategic advisory and digital service leader and national e-commerce leader. And he also holds the position of Associate Professor of Computer Science at Addis Ababa University. Without further ado, please welcome Dr. Fekade to the stage.
Thank you, Kaye. Thank you all for being here with us. I'm really grateful for the chance to lead this group. As said, our session is internet in education in Ethiopia, particularly. There are a number of panelists who will present their presentation to us, and which will be followed by a discussion. I will just go through first the description of the session, and then I will introduce the presenters. As has been said, internet is very critical for education in addition to other services, and particularly for this session, the issue is to talk about the integration of the internet into education system, which has revolutionized how knowledge is assessed, shared, and delivered. The session will explore the transformative potential of internet in Ethiopian education sector, highlighting its benefits for students, educators, and institutions. And then we'll have a discussion that focus on digitization of Ethiopian education sector, on efforts to digitize primary and secondary schools, and then we'll discuss about the lesson learned from the neighboring country like Kenya through KENET, which will foster connectivity and academic connectivity for research and education. This session is set to having several objectives. The main aim is to showcase the role of internet enhancing education access, quality and innovation in Ethiopia. It will examine the progress and challenge of digitizing Ethiopia's education sector including primary and secondary schools. It will highlight the importance of educational network like KENET in supporting digital transformation, in particular in education. And then it will inspire stakeholders to adopt strategies for sustainable digital education systems in Ethiopia. I assume that the audience are from government, educational sectors, researchers, and the like. And it is my hope that I personally will learn from the presenters and as well from the questions that will follow from each of you. Let me take a few minutes to introduce the presenters. That will take a few minutes, like 20 minutes for each of them. And the panelists are from various, experience. We have a panelist from the Ministry of Education. I will start with him, though the schedule would be different. The first panelist is Dr. Muluneh. He is from the Ministry of Education. He is ICT and Digital Education expert. He has got his PhD degree from PhD degree in information technology, master's and bachelor degree in information science from Addis Ababa University. He has a combined experience of research, teaching, educational practice in the field of information systems. His research mainly focuses on contextual design science research, information systems, information system, design science genre, and methodologically his research drawn on information system design, theory, design science, qualitative methods. His contribution lies in the intersection of social technical system in the domain of agri-tech, digital agriculture, edutech, educational technology. Currently, he is coordinating a national e-learning initiative being implemented across the 40 public higher educational institutions in Ethiopia. Moreover, Muluneh has also coordinated and led the development of edtech strategy and policy framework for Ethiopia, and in supporting successful implementation of policy implementation by the Ministry of Education. He will be one of the panelists, and he will share to us his work and his perspective. The second is a managing director from BRDGE. His name is Mulugeta Assefa. Mulugeta is a managing director at BRDGE and the founder of Sub-Edu PLC, which is a private company, is a leader in educational technology in IT infrastructure with over a decade of experience. He has led initiatives such as digital libraries, learning management system, and which is endorsed by the Minister of Education to promote inclusive education, bridging accessibility gaps, and the like. Mulugeta has got degree in physics and social works, along with certifications in computer science and data center design, which will help us to learn a lot in this panel as well. The third is Mr. Yehalem. He is Executive Director from Partners in Education, Ethiopia. He has more than 35 years of experience in education and development. He has a bachelor degree in history from Addis Ababa University and master's in public administration from the University of Victoria. He led efforts to provide free, inclusive, pre-K to 12th grade education for underprivileged children. Yehalem's holistic approach addresses barriers like resource inequality and digital divide, working closely with schools and partners to transform students' lives. So if you take these three panels, which are from the local, their experience is quite varied, and I believe that it aligns with the objective of this session. The last is Professor Meoli. He's from Kenya. Currently, he's the Executive Director of Kenyan Education Network, which is KENET. You can say it is very much equivalent to Internet from Ethiopia. This KENET is a national research and education network at Kenya. In the last 15 years, he has been leading the development of resilient and high-speed academic network of Kenya that connects over 500 campuses. 60% on last mile fiber at a speed of 1 gigabyte or 10 gigabytes. He has also committed to a capacity building of high-end engineering, talent pipeline required to build and operate a dedicated academic network and the associated campus network. Since 2006, Professor has been a principal investigator for research project measuring the e-readiness of universities in Kenya and East Africa, based on 17 indicators that include campus indicators of internet availability and affordability. Has previously served as a chair of the board of directors of Kenyan Network Information Center, which is not for a profit company that administers the .ke domain, which is a national domain names. And he holds a basic degree in electrical engineering from the University of Nairobi and a PhD in electronic systems engineering from the University of Essex in England. He's a member of IEEE and a member of ENET as well. Having said this, since each member have got their own presentation, I will call the presenters in different order. The order is very much different from the way I narrated now, because it is a schedule to see a different perspective. The first one that will present to us is Mr. Yehalem Abebe, who is the Executive Director for Partners in Education Ethiopia. His presentation is on digitizing primary and secondary schools. The floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon. Excited to be here. And so it's, I'm not a technologist. What I am sharing you is whatever we have tried over the years to provide digital education opportunities for children and youth in selected public schools in Ethiopia. I was born before technology, so. Thank you. Okay, so to set the stage, let me tell you a little bit about Partners in Education Ethiopia. We work in education. Our aspiration, our commitment is for every kid and young to have access to good quality education, to not just to spend time in school, but to be successful. For children, we stand for don't only face one challenge. They have multiple barriers to go to school at the right age, to enroll in school at the right age, and do well and unlock their potentials. So that's why we came up with a holistic approach, and we've been trying to address one barrier after the other. And so we built, where there is no school, we built a school. We started with one in 2015, and we have built 26 schools. And additional 3 are under construction. And those schools are serving over 34,000 students close to home. Also train teachers and follow them up in the classroom and provide them ongoing support for up to 5 years. And so we work with okay. So we work with over 1,100 teachers in teaching in our schools. And the other is we convert and outdoor green classrooms. We also provide water, train students in hygiene and sanitation, support children to share their hygiene and sanitation knowledge with family members. We also provide eye care. We screen all students, teachers, staff, and family members. And we provide them support with refractive glasses for those who need, and also treatment support. In a nearby public hospital, we help establish vision clinics and optical shops. We supported 6 public hospitals, have a vision center over the years. We're going to do additional 1 vision center in another school. And so we provide high quality educational content, digital, textbooks, etc. And that's what I will be sharing. And the other is we do also research and learning assessment, and we use evidence for improvement. Okay, so our children from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds started in 2017. In 2017, we collaborated with a US charity called eLearning, and then we did this. So the ones you see are the technologies. We couldn't, in schools where the schools we built, connectivity was a real challenge. So thanks to the support of eLearning from the US, we're introduced to Rochelle server. The content was loaded on that, and also had a Wi-Fi feature. So children can access content uploaded on the Rochelle server up to 80 meters in the school, from the server up to 80 meters. We also use Chromebooks. So power is a problem. You have witnessed how many times it has been, we have encountered power outage here in Addis, and this 5
Recording in progress.
Think of the power challenge in rural communities and semi-urban communities where our schools are located. So what we did was Chromebooks. Once you charge them, the Chromebooks could last for 10 hours, at least at the beginning, new Chromebooks. And also kids were also accessing content using their parents' mobile phones. For those kids whose parents don't have smartphones, we're pairing children who have with those who don't have so that they can access content. We also LCD projectors so that teachers can present simulation-based instruction. And that was critical because many of the high schools, many of the middle schools don't have laboratory, and then they cannot have the opportunity, they didn't have the opportunity to see something in more realistic way. Headphones, we also provided so that in the digital learning hub we established, so some of the kids can tune to audio so that by using headphones, they couldn't disturb whoever was reading a text in the same room. So we use those technologies. We established, like I said, the learning hub where we kept 30 Chromebooks and the Rachel server. And then we trained teachers who trained also students and showed them how to access content, both on the Chromebooks, onto mobile phones. So that was the first phase, 17, 18, and then COVID came, and then we couldn't resume our partnership with eTlearns, our US partner. What did we learn? So those students who used Chromebooks had access to multimedia digital content. We had a focus group with the teachers and the students. So one of them was, it helped us make concepts, abstract concepts more concrete. Access to audio, video, text, pictures, etc., provided this opportunity. Another one was enrichment for gifted students. It's a batching system. Our education system is organized in such a way that a kid of certain age has to spend the entire year, irrespective of his or her capacity, so that our education system is categorized by age. So whoever is good at math can achieve the target, the learning target, in 3 months, the one academic year. We don't have a system to help this kid continue to the next level. So the challenge, the teachers were also intimidated by the technology. Some of the kids, they access the content well in advance, and they challenge us, embarrass us in the classroom. So the opportunity was the kids can go to the learning hub and then access content higher and higher, so they don't have to wait for the others. And there was remedial support for those. So the multimedia content, the advantage is for them to repeatedly take their own time, repeat and master and move on. So they can do that on their own. Another opportunity was for some of the children who were missing classes. I was struck by some of the girl students who shared with me that, when they miss classes because of their period, it used to be a serious challenge because they were not getting support from their teachers. But now they could access to the content, and they can make up their missed classes without the teacher's support. So you can go through the list. Encouraged by this, we went to the next step. After COVID, what did we do? We continued establishing learning hubs, continue to collect additional multimedia content. We also partnered with Camara and got some refurbished desktops, and we used digital generators to address the challenge presented by power. Now, what did we do to provide to rural, semi-urban settings where internet is unreliable, and to provide an uninterrupted internet? So we collaborated with the Internet Society, with ICT 4D of the Bahardar University, and Internet Society Ethiopia chapter, with other universities. And we came up with this idea of Abichikili Community Network. Abichikili is one of our off-grid high school. So we wanted to provide uninterrupted electricity to Abichikili. What we did was, okay, so community network is a solution. So Internet Society was both financially and technically highly supportive. Bahardar University, amazing support. And so we got together and decided to provide not just for the school, but also for the community, nearby community. So we designed Bahardar University, ICT particularly helped design the community network. We developed a business model. We also developed a governance model in consultation with the future users and owners of the community network. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a license and we couldn't implement, deploy the community network. Hopefully, our government partners who are here will seriously consider community network as an important tool to take internet to communities in the last mile. Okay, so another challenge we tried to address was eLearning management system, student information management system, again with the Bahardar University and with other partners. We're working on, there's a team of experts who are developing integrated eLearning management system and a student information management system. We have also brought together our own experts, teachers, and teachers from content experts from the Bahardar and Amhara Region Education Bureau. And we're collecting more content, in different formats. We're aligning each content to the curriculum, to the learning objective by grade and subject. And we got a promise from the Ministry of Education, from the Bahardar University, and also the Amhara Region Education Bureau to host the content and e-learning solutions on a dedicated server. And that's what's happening right now. Another thing we're trying to address is the issue of device and so power. Device is always a challenge, especially for the poor. Power, I say them many times, is another challenge. This morning when I came from my home, there was no power and I didn't have breakfast. So power is an issue. So how do we address this issue? We have, we're working with Amhara Region Education Bureau, our charity, and JARA, a non-profit in the United States, with an innovative device. This is the JARA unit. They tried it, implemented it in Nepal. They implemented it in one state in Nigeria. I think it's a good feature of this device. It's off-grid. As you can see, there is a solar power. When there is no enough sunlight, it can be charged by cranking. It's dust-proof. It's made, cover is made from recycled plastic material. And it's also adjusted to those with disabilities, it's inclusive. And the whole idea is to provide to those kids from poor families one device per child and one device per teacher. So our plan is to pilot the technology, a device in a rural, one section, grade 6, in rural school, one of our rural schools, and one in semi-urban school, collect data, improve, and pilot everything in 26 of our schools, keep improving, keep learning, and finally scale that up. Okay, so first in the Amhara region, and then throughout Ethiopia and beyond. That's the next opportunity. Well, before I finish my presentation, what do we need to do? Like, what are the challenges? What are the actions that we all stakeholders in this sector need to do? One is, a real challenge we have is high quality culturally appropriate multimedia content for each grade level. We need to collaborate, making high quality curriculum aligned content. That's an area of collaboration. Device, affordable device, preferably duty free. I hope Muluneh will talk about what the ministry is doing in terms of supporting actors like us, import duty free. The JARA unit, our plan is to bring the first for the pilot from the US. We need duty free support for that. And then to assemble them in Ethiopia. Connectivity is always an issue, and we need community network licenses from the authority, electricity, and connectivity, especially for the students who are accessing approved, Ministry of Education approved content, to not pay charges, zero-rated access to eligible users. Now is we don't know who is doing what, so there could be duplication of effort and resources as well. So the more we have a platform, a place where we can access information on which actor is working on what, that could create synergy and impact. That's all I have, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Yehalem. It was an inspiring presentation. I learned a lot from his talk. Like we know, internet is an infrastructure that will make not only education, but also other government services. And you cannot have internet-based services unless electricity is there, devices are there, and those are the main issues which are raised, and we'll elaborate that further through questions. I hope he deserves once more round of applause. Well, after having his point of view, let us invite the second presenter. He's from the ministry. The reason we want him is to know about the strategy of the ministry in supporting internet-based educations. As you know, there are a number of initiatives from the ministry, including Ethernet, SchoolNet, eSHE, and the like, but all this has to be supported by certain strategies. So I invite Dr. Muluneh to come to the stage and give us the perspective and the strategy from the side of the Minister of Education. So please welcome Muluneh to the stage.
Okay, good afternoon all. I'm here to talk on the status of the internet and the progresses so far in terms of working on the interventions on the application of the internet for education. Okay, thank you. Please. Something. Okay, sorry for the distraction. Here are the agendas, the outlines that I'll talk on. As it's been said by the previous presenter and the moderator as well, education is one of the key social needs. Though it's a key social need, the investment on education so far has been great, but there are still limitations that create some grand challenge to achieve national and global targets and objectives. The factors are multiple and overlapping. Here are some of the core factors that hinder the ministry and the nation to achieve its goals. I am here not to talk about institutional voids, rather to emphasize on the role of the internet to bridge the literacy gaps and to address the previous challenge or grand challenge that has been accepted globally and nationally. The ministry and the stakeholders involved in the education system perceive internet as one of the key tools to manage the challenges that our education system is facing, which I'll talk about it later. Here are some of actually the main challenges that the EdTech sector in the country as well as globally is being facing or being challenged. There are gaps in terms of having access to EdTech. As it has been said before, and in all the previous day presentations, there are gaps, divides among rural and urban residents. There are divides between female and male students, boys and girls. There are divides even among institutions. And the form and type of devices very diversified, and the stakeholders need to work to close up this gap. The other is the divide in terms of digital literacy and skills. The skills and literacies in terms of effectively applying devices, tools, systems to improve learning outcomes is wider between the previous parameters that I specified. And still, there are issues of inclusion. As I said, there are multiple diversities among schools, students, parents, teachers, and so forth. And some of the stakeholders need some special needs, and those special needs are not, most of the time, didn't embrace the needs that these people with special needs want. And in terms of classroom infrastructure and facilities, still there are gaps. And the stakeholders should also consider how we should embrace the internet as well as the other EdTech facilities into the classrooms. Data standards and data quality still matters. And the other is engagement of the private sector. As we said, the education system is a complex process which involves a vast number of stakeholders, as the previous presenter told us. Here, the engagement of the private sector is very important. It's not only in a siloed way, but in a comprehensive way where solutions can be provided comprehensively, so that the desired learning outcomes can be achieved. Sustaining the solutions by itself is still a challenge in the EdTech sector. As I said, there are lots of siloed solutions here and there, but embedding these siloed solutions into the education system to bring the desired learning outcomes remains a challenge so far. As an instance, in terms of connectivity here, I'm not here to show the institutional voids. We have very limited developed, e-learning policy and e-learning guideline for higher education institutions. It has also developed a directive for higher education. Different activities and decisions can be supported via this directive, because this EdTech as a new proliferation, it has introduced to the institutions different challenges by itself. There is no structure to support the e-learning systems or EdTech systems, to plan, execute, and manage EdTech systems, and so forth. It introduces new structures, new roles, and new accountabilities. And this has to be managed via such directives. And these all are motivated by the presence of global strategies, global digital education strategy, such as the AU's digital education framework, the National Digital Transformation Plan, and the Ministry's education and training directives and so forth. These are the motivations to go through that. The digital education strategy and implementation plan, actually, this is one of the key guiding documents to manage future interventions on digital education. It guides all the stakeholders to understand the current EdTech landscape, the status of the EdTech, to guide towards improving the current status, and to monitor and evaluate progress against status and the plan, as well as the baseline. It's built from 9 key strategic objectives. And these 9 key strategic objectives have their own initiatives, timelines to implement the initiatives, the scope activities, and other details as well. Here are the strategic objectives. The first one is creating an enabling infrastructure and connectivity. Here, by infrastructure and connectivity, the ministry wants to mean to implement a meaningful connectivity. When we say meaningful connectivity, it's not to count the heads who have access to the internet. Rather, how effective is that internet to improve the learning outcomes? How effective is the internet to access multimedia content, or to stream multimedia content, and so forth? And it also refers to the devices. Devices should also be affordable, and it needs also to be accessible as well. Power and ICT infrastructure within the classrooms is also one of the objectives or the activities that the ministry is working effortlessly on this point. The second is data governance and analytics. Education should be guided with insights drawn from data. And here, the key objectives to be achieved are to improve the data quality that's being collected, standardizing the data quality, and applying data to draw insights and to improve decision-making processes across the education structure. And finally, the data literacy, again, is one of the activities to be achieved in this objective. All the leadership specifically should be able to apply data for their decision-making process, and literacy regarding data should be there. The other objective is having platforms and curriculum online digital content. This is another key important aspect. As you know, most of the primary and secondary education system basically is very contextual in terms of the curriculum itself and the language that has been used to give instructions or to pass content to the learners. So systems should be contextualized to these needs, and digital content should be aligned with the curriculum. Of course, different interventions are there who are substantiating the EdTech system or the education system being provided by the ministry. And the fourth one is ICT in education and e-learning policies, which I discussed it before. And all these interventions should be inclusive and should consider diversities. And inclusion and consideration of such diversities is becoming the biggest challenge this time. Entrepreneurs, for example, are considering high-end devices such as laptops, smartphones, tablets, and so forth. And when we look at the real context of the learners, most of them, I think, do not have access to such high-end devices. And the other strategic objective lies on EdTech innovation and the public-private partnership. The entrepreneurs and the private sector has a great stake in terms of designing, adopting, and appropriating, as well as implementing EdTech solutions. And there should be collaboration between government entities and the private sector in this regard. And digital literacy and skills development. This is also one of the key aspects that we should embrace into our education system while we talk about connectivity in schools and institutions. Learners and teachers should be able to effectively use the internet, the devices, as well as the systems. And hence, skills and literacy is very key. For instance, teachers should know how to conduct online classes, how to develop and design digital content, and how to interact with their students. And the students should have knowledge and skills about how they can effectively communicate with the online communities and so forth. And school leaders and principals should learn on how they can integrate the digital into their day-to-day activities, into their classrooms, into their decision-making processes. And here, a hybrid might be a solution, of course. And the other strategic objective is on research, cooperation, and learning. All the stakeholders should work and should invest together to improve the situation that the ministry and the nation is in. As you can imagine, most of the rural areas, regional governments, and the schools and the students there have very limited access to educational content. We have very limited open educational resources. We have very limited contextualized learning management systems and student information management systems and the like. So the efforts of the stakeholders is very critical here, and there should be a knowledge sharing platform such as this one among the education stakeholders. And the other is digital skills and digital literacy and skills development for students, which I have discussed Abebe. And these are actually the 9 strategic objectives that the ministry thinks will help to comprehensively engage EdTech into the education system. The ministry is actually guided by the strategy, and the strategy is being implemented and has been accepted and endorsed by the minister last year, starting from September. And there is an instance of such initiatives that I want to share with you here. The ministry has this intervention, which is called eLearning for Strengthening Higher Education, abbreviated as eSHE. It has different interventions, but a very comprehensive one. Here are actually the interventions. It has an initiative on capacity building. Capacity building basically involves training instructors and students at higher education system. It's being implemented in 50 public universities, including the special universities such as the Ethiopian Police University, the Oromia State University, and the Defense University, and the 47 universities, as you know, the public ones. Here, the instructors or teachers learn on how to facilitate online classes and how to design digital content that is specifically related to instructional designs. Because it's known that though the instructors know how to teach in classrooms face-to-face, but the online pedagogical skills needed to facilitate online classes is different. And the students, while they come to the cyberspace, need different knowledge and skills, such as they need to know how to manage their securities, how to protect their privacies, how to manage their time, how to effectively communicate with the online communities, how to evaluate online resources and apply those resources to their own purposes. Additionally, we have trainings for system administrators who will take care of or oversee the systems to be implemented at the higher education institutions. It also involves developing digital content, that is curriculum-aligned digital content. As an initiative, we produce 2 digital contents on mathematics and emerging technology, which will be used by freshman students. They are actually being used by this time. Institutions are empowered to develop further content based on this foundational content. And we had this policy framework being implemented across all the public universities. We built 7 digital studios at different institutions, which will be shared by the rest of the public universities while they develop content or multimedia digital content for their courses. And it also involves the design and development of a learning management system and an information system that integrated. And the initiative is actually managed by a partnership among these stakeholders: the Ministry of Education, the 50 public universities, Arizona State University, and Shashone PLC, which is a private sector, and the MasterCard Foundation as a funding agency for the initiative. And here are the basic transformations or core transformations needed by implementing this. One, teachers should be able to teach online or facilitate online classes. They should be able to use systems, learning management systems effectively. And the students are required to communicate with online communities and with the platforms effectively. And institutions are required to start blending existing curricula, start a blended approach or a hybrid approach to deliver classes. And all the universities where the digital studio is built are required to open at least one online program, a fully online program by the year. And the rest of the universities, again, are required to start micro-learning and micro-credentialing to substantiate this, the conventional education system or the conventional curricula. And next steps on this intervention is designing and implementing a micro-learning program on instructional design, developing multimedia digital content, opening fully online programs, and starting micro-learning and micro-credentialing, as well as blending the curriculum using EdTech. And this, as per the plan, this will be cascaded down to secondary education and primary education. As you know, this is a huge capacity, and we had at least a university at a zonal administration level. And those universities will be easily helpful in cascading the programs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Muluneh, for a nice presentation. The next one will be Mulugeta Assefa. I will invite him. The reason I'm inviting him is he's a technologist, and his presentation is somehow related to improving Ethiopian education through technology, which is somehow aligned with one of the strategy of the Ministry of Education, which is involving private sectors and others who are working on, technology-based education. Mulugeta, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having the opportunity to present in this conference. I'm happy to share my experience in developing integrated educational technology platform, content, and so on. My company is called SAPID, which means Support Education. We are dedicated to support education for the last 15 years, and we are still working on that. As the title given to me is education technology, improving education through technology. Okay. I have to say a few words about education and technology. We have different definition, but let me have a very short one. Education is the process of acquiring knowledge, skill, values, attitudes, and habits through teaching, training, research, or self-directed learning. And the purpose of sorry. Okay. Purpose of education is, the first one is personal development. In personal development, it enhances intellectual, emotional, and the social growth. The other is, sorry, I have to go back. Skill acquisition, social integration, economic growth, and innovation and problem solving. When we say about, when we say field about education technology, is the use of digital tools to enhance teaching, learning, and educational management. Content development has three parts. So that we have digital content, we have digital skill, we have collaboration. Digital content, digital skill, and the collaboration, to work together, we need connectivity. So that we have connectivity here. I'm sorry. We need to connect with each other. Maybe digital content could be developed in one unit. Digital skill is required to develop digital content, and collaboration between the team is very important. But the core is device, affordable and a portable device. Unless we have a device, everything is not possible in digital skill development, digital content development, or collaboration is impossible. And the other is maybe a platform. In case of platform, we need to have digital library. We need to have a learning management system and a school information management system. Okay, but which one comes first? I raised this question when yesterday's presenter was presenting about this issue. And the one which is very important and that we need to follow is we have to develop all in parallel. If we start with connectivity first, infrastructure first, and the content is left behind, or content is left behind, and again, we have only the platform, again, we are stuck. We cannot implement educational technology into the education sector. Therefore, we need parallel development of components, which means educational content, skill development, collaboration, connectivity, and the platform. Localized educational content. When we say localized educational content, unless we have local content, we cannot use our own resource. Our students cannot get a job locally. And there are a lot of different problems unless we have our own digital content here. We have been working to have Ethiopian content so that education will be used for using local resource and creating based on what you already have on the ground. Here we need to have local content, and so that we can leverage local resource, and local job opportunity will be there. Retains culture, language, and the values. If we depend on foreign educational resource, we may not have the chance to develop our own. Therefore, in relation to or in side by side to developing the infrastructure, connectivity, and so on, it needs to be addressed in developing content that is Ethiopian and solve Ethiopian problem. If you take, for example, agriculture, for the last 1,000 years, we are using ox for plowing, and it remains until today. A lot of students from different parts of the country are coming to university, and after the university, they will not go back to their locals because they cannot implement what they have learned. This shows that there is a gap between the curriculum and the resource in the country. That's why. And therefore, this will ensure economic development. If we base our educational development in in local educational content, we will ensure economic development. Therefore, there is less immigration. You know, when you learn, and when you have no application in the country, the only possible way is to migrate to other countries where they produce the content that we are using. Therefore, the direction of migration will go to the content creator countries. Okay. Problem with no localized contents. If you don't have localized content, local resources are underutilized, as in African case, in Ethiopia, and we can say we got. And this local job opportunity, as I already mentioned it, and there is less culture, language, and values will retain in the country because we learn other countries' culture, other language, and values, and so on, so that our culture, our language, and our values will disappear in some time. We will have less economic development, and our education will not contribute to our education development. In this case, there will be high immigration or high migration to other countries. Okay, let me come to offline and online educational resource. In this case, if we try to just connect the whole country before implementing the contents in countries in areas where there is shortage of, or where there is no connectivity, or where there is no infrastructure, it might take decades, to reach those that are not connected, especially in rural areas. We have expense. I will come back to this expense in my later on slides. Okay. Therefore, it's crucial to take the offline resource delivery. Well, as we have learned from yesterday's presentation, maybe less than 23% are connected. The rest are they are not connected. One of the problems that we are facing currently, especially that almost kills students from underserved areas, from rural areas, is what do we call it? The exam, the national exam, that they are sitting equally to enter into the next level or to the university. Well, because those who are connected have resource, but those who are in countryside have no resource. have no connectivity, have no infrastructure, have no qualified instructors, and so on. In that, but they will sit for the same exam, and they will be evaluated as if they have passed through equal resource delivery. This is one of the problems that is found in Ethiopia. This problem could be solved by introducing offline digital library, offline resource delivery to rural areas until the connectivity comes, and that replaces the offline resource in the country. This approach using offline digital library or offline resource delivery where there is no connectivity will ensure the inclusivity and equal access to educational resources so that we can have equal evaluation or assessment system. When connectivity comes over time, it can replace the offline, but offline should also exist even after the connectivity. That is how we are experiencing when we do with the schools. Because first, the boundaries limitation is there, infrastructure limitation is there. Therefore, using the connectivity for synchronization, updating and upgrading of the local server, and then connecting the school device or student device with within the local network will increase the connectivity, the bandwidth, and so on, so that they can use better than directly connecting to the internet. This is one of the proof that we have seen with our experience. And the last one is, okay, I already covered this part. Okay, let me go to the next. Challenge in Ethiopian education. It's already addressed by Dr. Muluneh. I may not need to go to every point. Let me take a very short point regarding that. The first one is digital resource availability. Given we have to give importance to localize the contents, as I already mentioned previously. Even content, educational contents are not available in schools. Maybe there could be a textbook which is digitized and put and placed on the platform that is introduced just recently. Otherwise, I visited 2 years back different schools in the country where there is 120 schools that are selected and networked by the network infrastructure and so on. But I have that information. They have no content, but they are there almost for more than 8 years without content. Infrastructure is there, connectivity is there, but there is no content still. And that is one of my experience. And hence we need to work on the content development side by side. The other is affordable digital device. We already talked about that starting from yesterday. Accessible and accessibility in the infrastructure. Majority are not connected, already at rest. The other is education management platform, not yet implemented in most schools. It's already mentioned previously. We have in different policies, procedures, and so on, but still in most schools, not yet implemented. The other is resource delivery is broken in most of the schools in the country. There is no printing. It's already officially announced that the Ministry of Education will not print books. And the second is, additionally, there is no digital content. It is not also delivered to schools. And they are in very challenging problem. Almost the schools are in a challenging problem. And this is the reality that we are seeing in the schools. The other is assessment system is also required. Maybe we have started this year or last year when national exam was given to only few students, which is in rural areas, but the rest still use the traditional one. Okay, let us go to our experience. Let's take the previous one as a background and what we have done to solve this problem that we have that I have already mentioned. Digital Education Transformation Initiative by Support Education. These are the tools that we already developed, pilot tested, endorsed, and even some of the resource or some of the solutions were budgeted, even though they were not implemented. Maybe Minister of Education will give some information later on. Okay, the Sparky Digital Library. The digital libraries that we have developed 8 years back with collaboration with Ministry of Education, piloted in Oromia and Amhara region in 2 schools. And the output was very amazing. Even the students who were not able to attend classroom because of the peace problem at the time, they were almost the first compared to other schools. About 75% at the time joined private and public universities. These were the tablets that we have delivered for the students. This contains all the curriculum contents, all the video tutorials that we call them or known by plasma video contents, and exercises and additional for SLC grade are loaded into these tablets so that students can take with them, can listen to the tutorials, can read the contents, exercise the different types of assessment and so on. And they will be ready, and they are ready for the exam or whatever. And this is still, they are using those schools that we have piloted in Amhara and Oromia, still using by borrowing at the beginning of the education starting months, and then they will take and return back to the school at the end of the year. So it's now using for more than 6 years in these schools. The other is offline education tablets. I already mentioned about that. The other is School Information Management System, SIMS. It is called Fekala.app. It's fully developed. Now some private schools are using this SIMS. We developed for public schools, but because of different reasons, we cannot do that. And private schools and banks are interested in this, and it's now integrated with financial systems. It's under implementation. The other is Learning Management System, LMS. This is one of the customized learning management system, but it was very good, and we have developed for university, but not implemented still because of different reasons. We also implemented the digital library in 13 University of Health related universities that work with Ministry of Education. And the other is tablet for accelerated learning. Those students who come to school in later age to cope with their peer students. They were given tablets with this content, so that it's implemented in Tigray before the war, and the output was very promising. The other is a tablet for visually impaired girl students, which is implemented in pilot tested in Gondar, Dawat, and Dabark area, or in 2 high schools. And the impact assessment is almost very amazing. This can be used in all other schools where there is visual impaired students are available. And the process here, digital school development, we signed agreement with Ministry of Education here. This is in 1916. And that about 8 years back, or 8 or 9 years back. And the collected curriculum, digital content from Ministry of Education, digitized those contents, and made a discussion with the stakeholders from Amara and Oromia educational bureaus. Here, adapted feedback and piloted into regions, as I already mentioned, and made field visits and assessments. And finally, we have discussed as one of the milestones with all 11 educational regional bureaus. We made a discussion, we collected feedback, and we make it ready for the next implementation. And then we also worked with or discussed with development partners to support this initiative and development. And finally, we make it ready for implementation. Okay. This is a school in Chacha, in Amara region. The technique was just like this. We have a server inside the school. This server is not connected to the internet. The servers are local connection or network and the wireless access point. Therefore, it is connected to both the libraries, the computer libraries, as well as to the individual digital device, laptops, and so forth, so that they have access to additional resource which is not available on the tablets. They have additional resource from the server. When we need updating, we have updating and upgrading for the content in the server. Therefore, they have up-to-date content whenever it's possible. And here is the class arrangement. As you see, I may use a pointer here. I don't know. It's not it because it's very, the light is more bright. Okay. We have, for the rural, we have the solar panel for power source, and wireless access point is there, as I showed in the previous slide. A server is also there. The students are given with educational tablets. This part, the black one, is a charging compartment. It will charge the tablet within 30 minutes. After that, the student can use their tablet within the classroom or outside the classroom, and so on. And there is a laptop for teachers, so that they will manage the teaching learning process in the classroom. And we have an interactive board. This board is just connected to, the board is simple white board, but the projector is interactive. The projector is connected with very small device which make whatever you see on the screen to be interactive or to act like just like a smart board, so that whatever you do on the screen can be saved on your laptop, and then you can consider as a content, because that can be used in other classrooms. And this is the arrangement, and this is what we have piloted in the school, and proven track record. Piloted in 2 high schools, which I already mentioned, endorsed by Ministry of Education and recognized by World Bank. This initiative were, as I already said, it was budgeted by World Bank, but it was during the COVID time. After COVID went out, when I have learned that it's already converted to other, maybe more important issues, and that this implementation was aborted there. The other is piloted educational tablet for visual impaired, and this already mentioned. Endorsement and insight for scale up. This is one of the letter to the development partners. All development partners were working with educational bureaus, and the other is, this is the other letter to 11 educational office or bureaus, so that they might implement by looking for funding and so on. Expected outcomes. Increased student engagement and performance is expected from this initiative and the pilot tested solution. Improved teacher efficiency through streamlined tools, and enhanced educational equity across region by using both offline and online resource delivery system. Future-ready workforce with strong technology skills. Vision for the future, expanding technology to all schools nationwide, creating inclusive and equitable digital learning environment within the country, building a tech-savvy generation ready for global challenge. And as in conclusion, technology is not just a tool, but a catalyst for lasting change. Together, we can build a modern inclusive education system for Ethiopia and IGAD or Africa. Let's transform education and empower future generation. And we are open for collaboration with Ethiopian Ministry of Education, with individuals, with development partners, and within the country, even abroad or in IGAD countries. Thank you. This is my V card. Thank you for that.
Well, we have option. Thank you, Mulugeta, for the nice presentation and the information. It is very nice. We hope we all learn a lot. I want to make one request. There is one more presentation by Professor to discuss about, KENET. We can do it now, followed by discussion, or let us go out for a tea, then come back for the presentation and the discussion as well. So which one is your choice? Yeah. Yeah, the third option, which is suggested by Kaya, is let us finish everything, then we have our tea and go to our home. Maximum of 10 minutes, maximum. You cannot go. And we resume the session. Just let me take the word of Mulugeta. I mean, if you remember before the break, he took one concept in the discussion, which was the notion of offline and hybrid solution. So I would say what we did is exactly syncing or refreshing. We were like, it was like in the offline solution, you have a chance to use your laptop or gadget to learn. Then when there is internet, you will have an updated version. So what we did was we had a session, we discussed refresh on something, and then we go out for tea and break. Now we are coming back with full energy so that we resume with the session. And that session will be the last for the presentation, which will be done by Prof. He will talk about the KENET, which is the Kenyan Educational and Research Network. I invite Professor to the podium.
Thank you very much. Now I need some tutorials on how to operate this. Yeah, okay. Need to go back. Right. Good evening. Let me express my gratitude to the Internet Society for inviting me to participate in this Internet in Education in Ethiopia. So I'm one of the ones coming from Kenya, but to talk about education in Ethiopia. And yes, it's quite humbling. I will not keep you for long. I can see most of us have decided to take an early evening. I titled my presentation, Leveraging Good Internet to Advance Education. And I'll explain. You know, first of all, I know for many of you, some of you are students, some of you all have your own definitions of good. And I can tell you good is not an engineering term. Yeah, we have indicators. In engineering, we have very specific indicators. Now, remember my disclaimer. I'm an engineer. I'm an electrical engineer who has spent his life as an educator, yeah, at university level. So a lot of the things that I will talk about, and one time I even used to be dean, so I promote the transformation of education at the institution level. So this presentation, it thinks a lot more at what a vice chancellor, a principal, a school head actually does to transform education. So I'll make a few remarks about KENET as a vehicle. It's an old vehicle. We are 25 years today. Yeah, so those are adults. Eh? And then I have seen a lot of discussions about technology as a lever. And so I'll just summarize it so that you see that there is actually an educational construct. There are papers that have been written about this, not yesterday, but in 1987. And then we'll define what is good internet, how we measure it, because we have indicators that we have developed. But I will also try a little to address the big question of schools connectivity, which Mr. Mulugeta tried to explain that most of those schools are unconnected. Even in Kenya, only 3% of schools are connected. So the question is, what would a government do if you have only 3% connectivity? So first thing first, we were set up as a vehicle for advancing education. And I just want you to look at the last bit. We are a charitable trust. We are a charitable organization, not for profit, set up mostly by some universities to solve 6 problems. First of all, high-speed internet. You know, did you know in 1999 when 2000 when this was being done, a university that had 2 megabit per second of internet was high speed. So just remember, I'm using high speed. High speed was very different. I know you have it all on your phones now. You probably have 100 or 40 megabits. High speed in 1999 was 2. We wanted electronic communication. And haven't all of you been doing email? But there is also another form of communication, the video conferencing or web conferencing that is used for remote teaching today. And then we wanted to share educational resources. This is 1999, and we wanted to facilitate teaching and learning over the internet. Now, there was no undersea cable. This morning, we were talking about the resilience of undersea cables. In 1999, there were no cables. The cables came in 2009. We were on satellite, low capacity. And then one of the reasons why it is me, rather than an ordinary engineer like Barak, is leading KENET, is that it was always meant to be for promoting collaboration among faculty and institutions. So that's one of the things I do. We promote early career, especially PhD faculty. So that is it. Now, can you imagine this body, which is just a charitable trust, even in a country like Kenya where taxes are very important? I think if any of you followed the Gen Z protests, they were about high taxes. We were granted income tax exemption because the law says if you advance education, you can get income tax exemption. So we proved that we do use technology to advance education. Now, we are a membership organization, predominantly universities. Yeah, I want you to look at the last column. You will see the number of users. We are serving about 1 million. Do you notice that 669, close to 700,000 are university students? So one of the good things about this is that we have been able to attract the attention of Google, Meta, Amazon. Because as they come into the country, their first point of call almost always is universities. Yeah, so they work with university students. They want to do many things, not only to hire them, but also to convert them into sophisticated users. But there is also research institutions, there are affiliated institutions, you know, still like the ministry, the government departments would be affiliated. They are not educational and they are not research. So that's what we serve. Now, notice I have left out schools. Although we have had a big schools project, but we consider schools as an outreach. We are 100% sustained by our members. Can you believe that? Yeah, no government support, except, and I think Engineer Chalo is probably here. There was somebody who is working with the World Bank here. We had a World Bank funding in 2007. That's the last time a World Bank funded building the CAPEX. So this is how we have built this network. It's a big network, as you can see. We connect directly to the research and education networks of the world. In Europe, there is a body called GIANT, which is the European Regional Research and Education Network. And it goes through, we connect through something called the UbuntuNet Alliance, our UbuntuNet Alliance for Eastern and Southern Africa. Ethernet is a member, we are all members. And you can see, I just wanted to explain about resilience. We go outside of Kenya in at least 3 cables, and we are adding the 4th one, which means that whatever happens on undersea, very unlikely it will affect us. Yeah, so that's what we have been building, 500 campuses in almost all the regions of Kenya. I can see the northern Kenya, you can see that's the IGAD region, is very sparsely populated and semi-arid. For those of you who do not know Kenya, Kenya is 80% is semi-arid or arid, more or less like desert. Yeah, all that northern part. And we come to Ethiopia through Moyale, mostly, even the cable that that is serving you, that link that you are getting through Kenya is coming through that. So initially we did get some funding from the World Bank, but this is organically developed by the community. Remember, universities would still have spent on internet, but instead of spending it on a commercial provider like Safaricom, they choose to spend it on an organization they own. And then we are connected to Africa. Remember, you need to be connected to Africa. We were being told about content. Content comes from a campus. Remember that. It comes from an individual student, and it's aggregated, and it's the one that makes economic sense. So we go through UbuntuNet to the rest of the world. Now, let me, I don't need, if I knew this, I would not have added this slide. If I knew what now I know. But we have been thinking of technology as a lever, and therefore internet as a lever. And that's why we, for KENET, internet is not an end. It's just it's a vehicle for achieving our educational and research objectives. Now, if you want to read a lot, Andrew Chickering is on implementing the 7 principles of good undergraduate education. Change that to just education. I have applied it at every level. It's wonderful. This was a 1997 paper, but the previous one was a 1987 paper. And I will, then the latest on UNESCO writes good papers. And I don't know how many of you read UNESCO papers, just like how many of you read ITU papers or any of those papers. You probably don't read, but they are good if you want to do some research. I like what UNESCO said in their 2023 report. They said focus should be on learning outcomes, not digital inputs. The other thing they said, that be careful of the commercial providers. Yeah, be careful of them. As we are independent completely, we are part of the education ecosystem. We use technology to advance education. The commercial and the commons, because internet and open education, open science, it's open. Yeah, the thing we are promoting, even internet society is promoting, is openness. But they pull together because of commercial interest. And then the statement, technology in education should always put learners and teachers at the center. And that's why they try as much as possible, although I'm a technology person, but at least I'm invested in education because that's my career. Now, so you can, the AU yesterday was presenting something. I really urge you to read their education, digital education strategy. It says every country must have a sustainable NREN, which is like KENET. So we like it, we hear it from them, but believe it or not, our government, nowhere are we recognized as an NREN by our government. Yeah, so they don't read those papers from from AU. But now I ask the question, even if I don't go too far, did you know that the teacher only appears when the student is ready? And therefore, nothing I will say will influence you unless you had a problem you wanted to solve. And I wanted to give you the example. I think someone did an excellent job about what happened during COVID and after COVID. Before that, do you see the objects? We were created to support blended learning and online learning right from the start. In 2000, 1999, 2000. But in 2020, most of us, not at primary school, at university, were not ready. Some teachers had never taught online. or attended an online course. So what did we do? We turned into an a short-term educator online. Again, we did it online. 2,000 faculty members took the short course. By the way, we had already prepared the short course because we have been trying to promote digital technology and blended learning since 2000. And I, as dean, I served as dean in the past. I have personally promoted it from 2000. But in 2020, a big change happened. And now we carry, there is no university without a learning management system at scale. Yeah, and we carry it. If our system went down today, and by the way, we run data centers, but their data centers are just big enough for us. They are not the ones that Wingu is talking about. Now, because we are in the, if you are an engineer or a mathematician, you use formulas. So after reading management, I've never been trained in management, by the way. So I look at the one at the, is it to your right? First of all, to your left. Do you see that? I wish there was a way of interacting with you. If the expectations are about zero, what will be the happiness, level of happiness? Infinite, yes. Is it possible that one of the reasons why Africans are always assessed as one of the happiest people in the world? Yeah. In fact, in the happiness index, do you know there is a happiness index? I'm not cheating. There is a happiness index. In 2003, Kenya was ranked at the top in the world on happiness. But just remember, you cannot change without some degree of dissatisfaction. So if you are not satisfied with the status quo, there is no change. But you also have to have a vision. You see, as we had a vision in 2000, and by the way, we never wanted to connect universities. We wanted to connect all education. That's why we call the name Kenya Education. After 25 years, we have only connected almost all universities. Yeah, we are yet to start connecting schools, and there are 50,000 schools. We also know about strategy. My work is to create dissatisfaction. And yeah, can you imagine? I wake up in the morning and try to find what's the best way to help people be dissatisfied. COVID made a very big difference. How many of you are dissatisfied with the state of things in Ethiopia and are ready to fight? I can see many young people. In every generation, you have to do your fight. We fought. I think I had today the history of Ethiopia. Don't stop fighting. Yeah. Now, I don't have time for this, but please read the paper. You know, good practice encourages contact between students and faculty. It happens that technology can help. Reciprocity, and very important, because I did engineering and I taught engineering, it's a competency-based. You know, you cannot teach engineering without practice. Yeah. And that's called active learning for those who are not in education. And then you need prompt feedback. The students learn as much as the lecturer, the expectations of the lecturer. And then you have to have diverse ways. This is what the new EdTech is trying to do, but these were invented in 1987 and they have not changed. Yeah, but every year technology is able to do some of them better. Now everyone is talking about AI. Well, AI. So the 7 principles cannot be implemented by technologies alone, or even by the teachers or the faculty alone. They need the entire group of you, the student, the faculty, and the technology. So we've been doing, so just so that I go quickly, we've been implementing this at KENET for many years. We've got a virtual learning lab, and thanks, Internet Society runs many free courses. One of them on system administration, because we take fresh graduates and convert them into engineers. And that gives us a lot of joy. So we created a virtual lab. You can spin off your virtual machine. You don't need to have a permanent computer. You can even borrow a laptop as long as you have internet and you create your own. You start doing the exercises. A lecturer can spin off 30 machines immediately and start teaching Python or Jupyter notebooks, whatever, RStudio, whatever you are doing. We have just stumbled into something else about teaching hospitals. Teaching hospitals are part of teaching. You see, they are used by schools of medicine and the medical colleges for training. So they are part of our license is very limited. And I know there is a Safaricom person there. We are very limited. We are only supposed to serve educational, research, and affiliated institutions. And we cannot go outside the campus. So the way we go outside the campus, you use something called EduRoam Wi-Fi, which is authenticated Wi-Fi. I don't know how many of you are aware of EduRoam. If you come to Kenya, you go to Harvard, you go wherever, it's free for the students. They never have to, they are given credentials once. So when we told them that, they allowed us to connect hostels as well. So it's, and then, of course, we are always experimenting. Even with generative AI, we got lecturers, we give small awards so that lecturers can test these innovations. These are, I think we've just, the thing about NREN, it's an organization, but it has to build a physical network and a human network. Two things, yeah? Now, most technology companies, even if they came, they don't have the human relationships. So we have human relationships, and we also have the technology, and our engineers can do literally anything. In fact, there was a person from Meta, one of our engineers left us and went to Meta. She actually does exactly what the Meta engineer was doing. She's a cloud engineer. So we build that. We build partnerships with industry. We develop capacity, especially high-end engineering talent. It's not enough to do the theory in the classroom. You need to get your hands dirty. And then, of course, we have the physical network, and we have a human network of the leaders, whoever is the leader, whether it's a principal or a vice chancellor, the IT directors. But most important for me is the lecturers themselves. And there is a whole, if you doubt that, especially those who are in the commercial sector, if you doubt that NRENs are required, why would UK, Germany, USA, even California, why would they have an NREN just like KENET or Ethernet? If indeed the commercial Ethiopia Telecom could do it for you. Yeah. So in those countries, there are even more sophisticated telecom companies, but the NREN is a dedicated academic network. So we only employ young people. I'm the oldest, as you can imagine. I serve as their lecturer, as their father. And we are not many, but we solve national problems. Yeah, we are more at the doing. Policies are set up. People want to do things. We are the implementing arm, and I'm happy because I'm an engineer. This is an industry workshop because Microsoft in Kenya is promoting AI. And just in case you didn't know, there is a Microsoft Research Africa Lab in Nairobi, and there is a Microsoft Africa Development Center. The head of the Microsoft AI Lab is an Ethiopian, Dr. Girmau. Yeah, he heads the AI for Good Lab in Nairobi. He was before that with the IBM Research Lab. Yeah, so it's actually an African lab, of course, located in Nairobi, and we enjoy having it, having them close because we can organize such faculty. They pay for all the hotel costs. Can you imagine? This is also a 5-star hotel. And then this is NVIDIA. For those of you who do not know NVIDIA, they are the largest company in the world because they make AI chips. That's it, NVIDIA. So they are coming to Africa and they landed in Kenya. And we are trying to see what they can do with us in Kenya. So we are just that. We promote that industry partnership. Now, I want to, please just allow me a few minutes to define good internet. I have also had another term, meaningful internet. What do those terms mean? We don't teach them in engineering at all. Now, there are 3 segments of a network. Remember, for us, we are not interested in what the country has or even the 3G coverage or 4G coverage. It's irrelevant. What we are interested in is what happens at the campus, because the student only has access to the internet on the campus. Now, this is like, even this hotel is like a campus, you know? Do you notice that you have Wi-Fi everywhere, even when you go to the dining room? How many universities can be like that in Ethiopia? At least in Kenya, they are not like that. Then the middle one is about distributing, and you can use whatever technology you want. The international network is where the undersea cables come, the satellites come. Now, if you invest $1 on the international segment, you should invest $10 in the distribution, and you need to invest $100. Now, I know we have talked many things here. We have not been talking about money. Internet and infrastructure are capital intensive. Today, in Kenya, we estimate Kenya needs our campuses, the 500, in fact, not the 500, the 160 campuses for universities alone requires close to $200 million to upgrade them so that the student can enjoy the internet experience you are having here in this hotel. Yeah. So that's the problem. So we've got another formula. So good to us, because principals and the people we talk to, the educators, just talk about good internet. But good internet is, first of all, there is a bandwidth ratio that we calculate. How much bandwidth per 1,000 users times the campus Wi-Fi coverage, money, times the quality of the backbone network on the campus, times the quality of your staff, engineering staff. Now, so you can judge how many campuses here would be considered good. Yeah. So it is not enough to have a lot of bandwidth dropped at the gate of your university campus. Does it actually get to the student in the hostels or in the classroom? If there is no something, and if something goes wrong, do you have the engineering expertise to fix it? And is it well designed? So we've developed indicators. Yeah, I think, so if those are the investment ratios. Now, I think the rest is all, you can read it. Now, I've had many, I became a professor of information systems. So digital transformation is a very serious matter. Notice the way we define, we use the EDUCAUSE framework. Digitization is the first phase. Then after that, you can do digitalization. You have all the ERPs and everything. And then you can start talking about digital transformation. I can tell you, we are in the early stages of digitalization at the university, and we are in the digitization with the other categories of institutions. Judge for yourself. The term to use probably for this is more to do with digitalization and digitization. Yeah, so there we are. We measure all this, and this will be available to all of you. And finally, can we really connect schools at scale? We have had so many pilots projects. Yeah, even now we are working with the ITU, GIGA, and UNICEF have got a GIGA project. So they issued an RFP in December. I asked them, how many schools do you want to connect? They said 1,000. I asked them, so 1,000 out of 50,000, what are you trying to do? Don't you want to have a system, some way to connect 50,000 schools? I can tell you in Kenya, we don't know how to do it. Yeah. In fact, we have been meaning to write a white paper on it, and we can collaborate with you so that we say, what is, the AU doesn't know it, the countries do not know it, and the rest of the world do not know how to connect 50,000 schools. You just heard today, we are still building schools, and we don't even have power. Yeah, so in conclusion, yeah, we promote open science, open education, digital infrastructure. Yes, we've done very well at university level. We have not gone into the campus. We are looking for big funding, 200. Yeah, we can start with 40 million or 100 million, but we need a lot just for universities. If you count the rest, it's a mega project, and I'm not sure how many African governments are ready for it. So be careful where to start. I still believe start at the top, start at the university. Make sure the university is doing well. When you do well at the university, those students are going to innovate, and they are going to solve the problem for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for the presentation. Now I invite every presenters to the stage so that we'll have a discussion. Yehalem, Mulugeta, Dr. Muluneh. Dr. Muluneh. Okay, good. Okay, let me take a few questions. Thank you all for the nice presentation. It was informative. I will start my question with Yehalem. So the question is somehow related to what has been presented by the representative from the ministry. As we have already seen in the presentation, the number of schools, preschools and primary schools is close to, you can say, 40,000. And the enrollment rate is close to, I can say, 91%, but those who are completing is close to 65%. So those who are enrolled are not completing for a number of reasons. As you are leading partnership in education, I assume that you have got a nice model to help the student ultimately to graduate, to complete in a way. So the question will be, what is your approach or the approach of your association or NGO in order to let preschool and primary school students to complete. And the second one in line with that is, since the theme of this conference is related to the use of internet for education, what is your recommendation in the use of internet in order to let our kids in order to have a fruitful study and completing their education journey?
But how can we support, encourage, increase rate of completion, which is way below at different levels? So we need to ask ourselves, why do we have such a low completion rate? So one is there's no school nearby. And that's why our NGO is engaged in building schools in collaboration with the community and local governments. The other thing is, even if they enroll in a school, they may not stay longer. If the quality of education is poor, parents lose the incentive to keep their children in school. If they enroll older for their grades, the age is older, they find it uncomfortable as they stay in the education system. They develop the interest to be self-supportive. Poverty is another issue also, to provide children with school materials and whatnot. So that's why, for us, there is no one panacea. There are multiple barriers, and we need to address all in tandem, that holistic approach. So I encourage those in the education system, supporting the education system, to pursue a holistic approach than just addressing one issue, So that would be my thing in terms of the increasing completion rate. But in internet, I would agree with some of the panelists when they shared. We have to explore all options, internet in, the local area network in our schools, and making sure that it's powered by renewable resources. It could be, I showed you the innovative JARA device, cranking, solar charged, et cetera. So in area where connectivity is not dependable, frequently interrupted, connectivity goes hand in hand with electricity. So it's not something that so use renewable energy in rural, remote areas, including in the urban areas in our context. Another thing is the community network, which I talked about earlier. That could be an area where the main providers may not find it economically feasible to provide connectivity, to invest in infrastructure in rural, remote communities and poor communities as well, because there is an issue of affordability. Given the current living cost crisis, would internet be a primary thing for a struggling family to invest in? So it's incumbent on us to explore all options, including offline options, to provide access to multimedia digital content. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Your suggestion is well taken. I will direct my second question to Dr. Muluneh. the starting point for my question is the vision set by the Ministry of Education. In one hand, the vision said that we want to ensure quality and equitable education and training. And in several times, the ministry was saying that the quality
I shared my presentation. One of the challenges, that is the grand challenge, is quality of education. And this is attributed to many factors, actually. And teachers, the quality of teachers and the skills and literacy levels of teachers can be considered as one of the main factors, not the only one. So, as we are in the age of the digital, knowledge and technology is changing every now and then. The rate of knowledge produced in educational area, the field of education, is also very fast. You can consider how educational technology has exponentially increased, or the application has exponentially increased across the world. Just starting from the outbreak of the COVID-19. And progressively, EdTech is growing. New solutions are emerging. Very soon, we know how the generative AI, or AI in general, has took the field of education to the next level. And accordingly, students, teachers, and all stakeholders engaged should update their skills and knowledge. Otherwise, the yesterday's knowledge may not be as such very useful to our next problems. So teachers need to update their knowledge very often. Therefore, the role of the internet and other EdTech solutions have greater importance in skilling and reskilling, as well as upskilling the knowledge of teachers, the skills of teachers. As new fields of applications emerge, teachers should also be in line with those new knowledge, with those new skills required. And they should be able to support their teaching learning processes using the available technologies such as AI. AI now is being used to produce content, for example, to produce presentations, to produce their lesson plans, to generate questions, assessment quizzes, and so forth. It's also supporting teachers to mark or to correct the answers given by their students. Therefore, there should be a mechanism for teachers that will enable them to go in line with the emerging technologies, educational technologies, I mean, and the new skills and knowledge required to enhance learning outcomes. And basically, there is a field of training that's called continuous professional development programs. And these programs should update themselves, or the institutions or offices work on these areas should incorporate such trainings to enhance the quality of teachers. And the other is, it also attributes to the availability of other solutions and facilities. In the nation, as we said, and as it has been a point of discussion in the yesterday's presentations, there is a huge divide across different communities, societies, and even within the schools and institutions. To close up that, as it is contributing to the quality of teachers as well, the ministry actually is working to provide a central infrastructure, data centers, cloud services. So all the teachers, students, schools can have the same resources. And I hope that will close up the gap and that will bring equity among users, I think. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Muluneh, for raising the notion of continuous learning, even for the teachers, and the use of centralized repository for sharing resources. Now, let me take the one question for Mulugeta, in which the question is in line with your analogy in your presentation. You were talking about the notion of parallel development. Developing the infrastructure alone is not a solution. I think we have noticed that before. The ministry developed the so-called SchoolNet, but there wasn't content. So having infrastructure by itself is not sufficient. Content has to be there. There are a number of initiatives from the ministry in which we all appreciate. But the question I have is, if you take the school facilities, for instance, be it in primary school, the school facilities only 28% are electrified. If you take the secondary school, it is only 70% which is electrified. And if you take all the connection, the internet connection, it is only 12% which are connected to the internet. And this workshop is all about the use of internet for education. I assume that most of the audience might say, what is really these guys are talking about? In a school system in which only 12% are connected, we are talking about internet-based education. So the question is, as a technologist, what do you really recommend for the majority of the unconnected schools and their students to get benefited from internet and internet-based education? So what is the solution as a technologist in the area? To you, Mulugeta.
Dr. Fekade, for the question, the use of internet in unconnected area, from our experience, is to collect or download or educational resource which is available on the internet, and then put into the platform like digital library, and put into other devices, and then it could be installed into the local server in the school, so that every student in the school can have access to the content of the internet through offline means. Otherwise, if we just wait for the internet connection to be covered throughout the country, the current students, maybe the students that are struggling to cope with students that have connectivity will be vulnerable very much. Hence, we can use content on the internet and then make it available offline in the school. That will make the solution for the unconnected schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, this will be the last for the case. I will take my question to the Kenyan experience. I hope you have noticed in this stage that several institutions are doing the same thing, be it NGO or others. Like, for instance, several portals on e-learning and the like. So the question will be, knowing that we have Ethernet in Ethiopia, which is very much equivalent to KENET in Kenya, and knowing that there are several institutions working together for the same goal, but differently, what will be your experience, your recommendation, so that the different parties will work together for the same code, rather than having one thing being developed and implemented in different areas as a means of collaboration and working together? So that will be our take to consider. What could be the mode of collaboration for different parties to work together for the same goal?
I think what has worked for us in Kenya in terms of is that we have different membership categories. We've got the universities, we've got the tertiary colleges, the TVETs, we've got the and obviously technical teacher training colleges, but we also have the schools. And one of the most important things is that you can use the NREN. In fact, in Kenya, we use the NREN as a driver for bringing together these different parts of the ecosystem so that they can start to think along the same strategies. I'll give you an example. In order to connect schools, one of the most important things is capacity, building the capacity of the teachers. The university can actually use their students to build the capacity of the schools in the neighboring areas. And we brought them together. So you can use an NREN as a vehicle for bringing together different parties at different levels. So the NREN has got two roles. One of them is infrastructure, just getting and the engineering capacity for that. But the other equally important reason is creating a human network that brings together the Ministry of Education, the other institutions that have been set up. We call them affiliated to the education and research. Some of them are regulators, some of them are examination bodies. And then the schools, principals, and the principals of the colleges and the vice chancellors. When they come together, you can start to guide the direction so that it becomes easier to execute strategy of the ministry. Instead of the ministry thinking about them being the coordinator, you let this organization that is working directly with this community drive the strategy implementation of the government. Yeah, so that has been our experience, and it has worked. We haven't involved teachers and schools as much, but so far we have involved universities, TVETs to work together, and now we are working very closely with teaching hospitals. Because if you want to improve the quality of medical education, then you need to bring in the hospitals also in that ecosystem. And it has worked. It has been working. It's not always recognized by the ministry as such, but we as the leaders of education have driven it that way.
Thank you. Now, let us take a few questions. We have, well, our time is up. At least allow us just to get two questions. Okay, to you from the middle. Okay.
Here for too long. Understood. Okay. Thank you so much for the very interesting panel. My name is Helena. I work for Liquid Telecom, Liquid Intelligent Technologies. One of the things I looked after there is the digital education portfolio. So very happy to see Prof here. We do a lot of work with KENET in Kenya. The other hat that I'm here wearing is actually I lead a community called EdTech Ethiopia here in Ethiopia, where we bring together EdTech entrepreneurs, researchers, policymakers on a monthly basis to discuss exactly these issues that have come up. So for those of you who haven't joined us yet, please. At Liquid, we have quite a significant schools connectivity project ourselves, connecting schools across the 14 markets that we operate in. And I can talk at length about that, but I think really the most useful thing that we've done in that project is the schools mapping exercise, right? So this is where are the schools in a given country and where is the infrastructure, right? And how much would it cost to connect the schools to the infrastructure? All of this is information that's out there, whether it's at MINTS, whether it's Ministry of Education, whether it's at collective regional education bureaus. It's more about collating and finding that, because then you can get a good cost estimate and move towards execution. So that's one thing I'd highly recommend as a takeaway. A question I had, I know we only talked about 12% of schools have been connected, but I suppose I'm wondering, especially for those of you who work in schools, is there a difference in the way that you treat a school or in the curriculum before and after connectivity, right? Because you brought up the point that a lot of families maybe wouldn't see this as something important to invest in, internet, when there's really so many other costs. But if a student is learning the same way in an unconnected classroom as they are in a connected classroom, then what exactly is the utility of the internet, right? What are we doing to add value for those students' lives? Mulugeta, you mentioned the project you guys have been working on, the 2 pilots. You said we've been operating for about 6 years now. I'd be very curious to know about what impacts have you seen on learning outcomes, right? So have the students actually been able to transform, have they done better on national exams? Are they comprehending more? Are they better, more digital literates? What's been your experience in that space? If you can share. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much.
Next one.
My name is Baru from Africom Technologies. Thank you, the moderator and the panelists, to have such interesting panel discussion. My question is, yesterday our Ethiopian government declared close to 99.2 internet coverage, connectivity. When you look at the connected schools, only 12%. Why we invest as a country such investment if we are not connecting schools, higher educations, and others? Therefore, we should align our investment because this is a scarce resource. What I see is there is a misalignment. I need clarification from the Ministry of Education whether you are working closely with Ethio Telecom or other telecom operators, including Safaricom, to connect especially elementary school, high schools, and others. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Tasfa. I think one of the questions is raised by Lina, and I'm happy to see the impacts after the connection. The question that I want to just pose is in relation to regulation and governance, especially when generative AI is introduced in 2022. the schools are checked and the education system is checked, and there is also benefits and also disadvantages. Do we have any kind of policy to govern in Ethiopian context, and how KENET is also handling those generative AI, because of there are issues in universities, especially in the universities and also in high school. So if we don't have, because when in November 2022, only one country has a regulation to just handle this. Later on, UNESCO also produced a kind of a guideline in 2023. So I think Dr. Muluneh mentioned about AI, the usage of AI in education, and then do we have any kind of guidelines and regulations? Because in social media, we don't have in Ethiopian context. So we try to just make an assessment, but there is no policies, okay, to support. And even if it just somebody misuse it, there should be some kind of issues. The other, in KENET, are you also provide just the data centers, or are you just giving also connectivity? Thank you.
Thank you for. Hello. Sorry. Okay. So I'm live. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the opportunity. I want to first extend my appreciation to the presenters for a very interesting presentation that we just had. And the question that I had was especially with ensuring that students become the beneficiaries of the internet connectivity, because I represent a local NGO that's been working on actually trying to ensure that we extend e-learning centers in different public schools in Addis Ababa. So in one of our projects, we actually worked with 2 public schools to establish e-learning centers with a funding that we received from a foundation, the Pestalozzi Children's Foundation. And in that particular project, one of the things that we observed was we had instituted an e-learning center complete with high-speed internet connection. But then when we came to conduct a monitoring and evaluation visit, what we saw was sometimes these centers were actually being used by the teachers, and the students were actually given access to these centers as a form of reward. When these centers were established, they were established to ensure and improve educational outcomes. But what we saw was only high-performing students would have access to these institutions or these centers. So what I wanted to ask was, what measures can we actually take to ensure that these infrastructures that we do provide actually benefit the students? Because even though we have reported that there's 12% internet connectivity, when we try to do visits throughout, we work with 12 public schools in general. And when we do see the internet connection is mostly for administration purposes. So we just wanted to know how we can ensure that students become the beneficiaries of this infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Who wants to start? Muluneh?
Okay. So should I start to address question? Okay. Good. I'll try to address the questions that I have here. If I forget some of them, please remind me. One is the first question on connectivity of schools and how much does it cost to connect the schools, and where is the infrastructure? I think that is one of the core questions. It's a question for all of us. Actually, as this EdTech is a new development, an alternative way of substantiating education. We cannot actually furnish all the schools around the country all at a time. It must be kind of progressive development. First, we need to understand, we need to map the schools and how far the schools are from the backbone cable, how many of the schools can directly be reachable, and the resources we have actually should be considered as well. And the development of technology by itself makes variations in cost. This time I cannot say the cost of connecting all the schools across the country is that much, but the connectivity, as I said, is not the only and one solution, but it's one of the tools to improve the learning outcomes. We are not going to provide a fancy connectivity. We are, as a country, more interested on improving the learning outcomes. As my friend Mulugeta said, offline solutions are among the mechanisms. There are different mechanisms to provide content offline. And a mix of solutions will be applied for schools who are near to the backbone cable or who have some sort of connectivity enhancing or connecting the schools would be our colleagues asked. These all are very important. And even new structures, roles and responsibilities should be in place. And all this cannot be put in place at once. So the ministry started from higher education. Then from that learning, it will be cascaded down to the primary and secondary education. The other question I remember is about collaboration. Yes, there are gaps in terms of putting efforts together. As I stressed in my presentation, different stakeholders are involved. But as a ministry, guiding those stakeholders would be one of the responsibilities. And that guidance will be provided via putting policy frameworks in place. Telecom operators, power providers, and other tech solution providers, all are important in the education system. And collaboration should be there. As we heard from yesterday's presentation, the telecom count is the number of persons who had access to mobile phones. But is that meaningful does that provide meaningful connectivity to improve learning outcomes for students? That must be a question. A question on AI policies also raised. This is also important, though AI is debatable. Academically, it is one of debating point. It's a point of discussion this time. I know some of the countries have AI policies for education. Some states in the US, for example, have AI policies to define to what extent students can apply AI in the education system and the extent that students can use AI to support their writings for assignments, tests, and so forth. So in our country, we might need that, but in some cases, it's an institutional responsibility. For example, in universities, I know some universities start developing AI policies to guide students and the staff on the use of AI. But the knowledge is being on development. We need that, but this time we do not have actually an AI policy.
That's okay. I will direct the other one. The other question which was raised is related to governance and the like. I will ask Prof if there is any experience from KENET for the use of directive that will help the sharing of resource in a centralized environment across the board as an experience. Is there any governance from your side that helps sharing of resource across different institutions?
No, we in Kenya, we promote institutional policies that are developed by the community for the community. So you bring together a group of experts and they develop a policy, whether it's intellectual property or is AI, you do those first at the institutional level, even before they are escalated to the national level, because it's the experts at the especially at the universities, who know what is the implication of deployment of AI. In terms of blended learning, the intellectual property in a lot of policies for the universities that has been developed is that the intellectual property for the materials developed for blended learning by faculty belongs to the university. And that's almost universal throughout the world. I think there was a question about data centers. Yes, we do a complete, we've got our own community data center, which hosts all the learning materials and the digital platforms. So some universities have chosen to go outside, but maybe one or two. A lot of them, we contribute our money into running this shared infrastructure. And simply the government supports us indirectly through income tax exemptions and through funding of the universities themselves.
The last one, two of you, Mulugeta and Yehalem. The question of this gentleman is related to monitoring and evaluation and making sure that whatever is developed for is student-centered, if I'm not mistaken. So his question is there any indicator, KPI, to make sure that whatever that is developed is for the students? That would be the last.
Thank you. Also, as part of the question from the lady who first asked it, in our case, we have now built an evaluation system with control schools, etc. But given our experience from our experience to date, we only were using focus group discussions with girls, with boys, many, and teachers as well. And so the evidence we gathered is like it's helping them a lot, not in one way, but in multiple ways, including, in schools, public schools, where there are no well-equipped science labs. it helps them concretize the abstract concepts. They can see, from the audio, video, etc. Other is English, improving their English proficiency. Many of our teachers' pronunciation is what we know. So, and building their vocabulary as well. So they have benefited a lot that way. The third is differentiated content, not just content in one form. They used to get only textbook from the government. Now the digital, the multi, in different formats. Text, for those who learn better reading text, there's a text there, not just the government text, but also different text from different sources. Same with audio, video, pictures, etc. So this gave them the opportunity to what? To learn better. So differentiation is another advantage of those multi-format sources. So that helped some of them to learn to learn on their own pace than try to catch up with So a friend of ours who came from Canada once visited some of the schools in public schools, and he said, "Oh, Yehalem, I'm sorry, your education system is like teaching the best and shooting the rest." Shooting the rest. Teachers teach to those who get it quickly, not to the others who are productively struggling. So that, this differentiated content in different formats helped different level learners. We all learn at different pace and in different ways. And so it helps those. Like I said earlier, like our education system is by age. Age is good for wine. You have a wine produced in 2016. You keep all the wines of that age. Kids are different. There's no one, two kids who exactly learn the same way, exactly the same in different ways. So we treat them like so that's the problem of the industrial. So, but this one provides, some of them who, a kid who gets math quickly shouldn't wait for the teacher to come and teach him, or her, so they could get. That was another advantage. For the girls especially, I was struck by this, when they miss classes because of biological or any other reason. Previously, they used to rely on support from the teachers or other students. This time, they could easily go access content, and they can. It's a number for teachers also, like in our education system. The challenge we have with the teachers, one is a pedagogical approach, pedagogical skill, and the second is content knowledge. Some teachers struggle understanding the concept. That's not their problem. It's the way they were prepared. Therefore, this opportunity provides them to also upgrade their content knowledge, subject matter knowledge, etc. So I can go on and on. So that was the anecdotal evidence, the evidence we gathered, the feedback we gathered from teachers and students. Thank you.
We have taken more than like 40 minutes. We are really sorry. I assume we answer most of your questions. If not, we'll be glad to reflect, in the networking after we end this one. Thank you, Taye, and the team for waiting longer. Thank you all.
That very, very nice call.